and the little roundy things say that we're interneting. So, woo! Here we go. It's been a month. Welcome to our game. Into the Borderlands is the name of the game. Dungeons and Dragons 5e here on Castle Mac. Hi, everybody. Everybody say hi.
Hi,
Hi.
everybody.
Hopefully, there's a couple thousand people in the chat, or maybe 4 would be cool too.
Yeah, we're actually the fastest growing D&D Twitch stream. Don't Google that.
Right. We added a person, so we're literally on a percentage basis. We just grew like a 300%. Yeah. We're not here for the fame. We're here for the game. Hey, that's a rhyme thing. I might be a bard. I'm Wiley Hobbit. I'm your DM, also known as Scott, Dad, and Honey. Let's meet our cast of characters. We're on session 18. Hard to believe. So let's go around the deal here. How about straight beneath me? How about Shanalogic?
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be back right now. I'm having like an amazing day, so tonight's going to go horribly for me. I play your favorite gay dumpster fire, Flint, the Genasi Ranger, who's totally not going to cry tonight.
Totally not, because no one cries. Our game, me. I'm referring to the overlay. Just want to really get that squared away. How about, as you're looking at the screen, bottom right, our friend Harlow.
Hi, I am Miss Misery, and I am playing Harlow, the golden tiefling, who has horns.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
a dork.
Tell us, how did you come by those horns?
I 3D printed them.
Sweet. That's like...
So I just found a design and printed it.
Yeah.
Well, my roommate found a design and printed it.
It's like full-on nerding out right there. I love it. Awesome. Excellent. Excellent.
Bigger next time.
Very good. And in the other bottom corner, playing Letherus.
Hi, I'm Abby. I play Letherus, the Red Devon Minotaur, local farm boy, and apparently a huge powerhouse.
Apparently. Yeah, we were discussing some... If we happen to be min-maxers, we'd be really proud of a couple of our characters because we got some buff stats going on up here. So, and last but not least, our good friend Pavel.
Hi, I'm Devin. I'm playing Pavel, human fighter, arcane archer, and just your good old book boy. And I also run the stream, so we can all put this out on the Twitches. Yeah, very excited.
Woo. Yeah, and we're missing our good friend Lyala Bright. She is played by Sheena Likes the Villain, having some computer issues, so she's unable to technologically be present with us this evening, and we're very, very sad about that. And Lyala Bright is a half-elf, right?
Yep.
Half-elf cleric of Tritherion.
Yep.
War Domain.
Head taker.
Head taker, yes, because Lyala is excellent with an axe. She kicks axe or something.
Oh, Wiley.
It's mind-blowing, really.
Sorry, not sorry. So, let's talk about what happened last time, a whole month ago.
We all cried. A lot.
Well, you cried.
I fucking bawled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pavel melted down, man.
It was sad. It wasn't that sad. It wasn't as sad as what I did was not warranted. I don't know why it went there, but it went there.
I was totally sorry, not sorry on that one. Usually I'm just not sorry. But I did not expect that kind of carnage.
I hope it made for good content, because my face hurt by the end of it.
Well, one of the DMs that sits on my shoulder on this side was enjoying it, and the other one was kind of like, "Aw, you broke Pavel."
There is nothing wrong with it. It just happens.
Yeah, that's the beauty of, collaborative storytelling at the table. I have to say it was kind of a beautiful, sad, beautiful D&D moment, and I'm really proud of my party for rocking some great roleplay. And so why, you ask? Why were we so sad last week? We lost our friend. Actually, we found our friend whom we apparently lost. Stoneheart. I've never said his name right. Stoneheart. Henry L. Stoneheart. He was a a cleric of Ula, the kind of the god of mining in the earth and dwarves, and he was a dwarven, actually paladin, excuse me. And he was a sweet, kind of curmudgeonly, odd,
Nudist.
idiosyncratic dwarf, yeah. And we discovered that he had been taken down by something, and there was, when the party found him, there was a wraith doing some kind of wraithly things over Stoneheart's body. And the party stepped in and made pretty quick work of the wraith. There was some rage going on there once they figured out what was going on. And so they dispatched the wraith, and in true Castle Mac fashion, there was drama, there was sadness, there was much respect and love displayed for our friend Stoneheart, previously played on the stream by our good friend Stump, who had to leave the game for busy life things. I think he moved across the country in the middle of that game, right?
Yeah.
To Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, and we miss him greatly, but we thought, okay, I thought, what a fitting way to conclude that part of our story arc by, I don't know, having the beloved dwarf show up deceased. But the party honored him as they should have by erecting a cairn in his honor and depositing Stoneheart in said cairn, facing the east, facing the sunrise, and it was beautiful. So beside that momentous bit of news, they also managed to locate the Villager's Bane, right? And managed to finally, after 9 game days, and I don't know how many sessions, probably about 8 or 10 sessions, in the queue, Cascaton, they finally broke out of that place and found yourselves in a bit of a quandary, didn't you?
Yeah.
What to do? Who to go see? There are suspicions, there are questions, there are story hooks, knives, all sorts of things everywhere. Everywhere you step, everywhere you look. It's like DM insanity. And so they settled on a trip to see some Sylvan elves that they had encountered on their way up to the queue. And the elves had given them kind of some cryptic directions to their outpost in the northeast corner of the kingdom of Niron. The outpost is called Arndulant, and they're in search of these 3 Sylvan elves there, Tannel, Rania, and Elion. And they want to see if maybe these elves know some things. And so that's pretty much where we left it. Pavel had started to look through the spell book that he had found. They were kind of dividing some of the treasure, counting things up, that sort of stuff, dusting the dungeon off of themselves, enjoying fresh air, and had been on the road about a day and a half out of the queue, and it was nightfall, and they had decided to camp under the eaves of the Gamboge Forest. And that is where we will pick up our story, unless anyone has any objections. All right. Those don't sound like objections, so let's roll. So we are in the Gamboge, and if I recall, you decided to get out of the Flinty Hills openness, scrub juniper trees, cedars, but lots of openness, visible from above, from the hillocks above, from the air, from the rakers, and put yourselves a little ways into the forest for the evening. And that's where we'll pick things up.
All right.
Real quick, I don't recall. Did anyone heal Lethyrus after he was stuck by the porcupine, or did Flint just pull him out?
I think I did.
Okay, I think you did too.
I feel like I remember that got kind of cleaned up. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, Lethyrus.
Well, apparently, Lethyrus thought he saw a mythical creature, as told by one of his mothers. So he ran off into a bush to go look at it. And in the process of sticking his face in the bush, got stuck by a porcupine.
It didn't end real well, did it?
Yeah.
That's a lesson to you kids. Don't go sticking your faces in random bushes.
And then Flint proceeded to pull the quills out of his face.
I got him out. It was fine.
It's fine.
Everything is fine. Everything is good.
Fine.
You're probably, just from the reckoning of the map and so forth that the elves provided you with, the directions, you're probably about halfway to Arndulant. So you're about a day and a half out.
Okay.
So you figure at your present pace, you'll reach the outpost midday 2 days from now, given your current progress,
All
as
right.
they say here in Canada where I'm hanging out this week.
I say we forge on.
Okay. So it's evening time. You're going to go ahead and set up camp for the evening, get a long rest, that sort of thing. What do you think?
Yep.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. So shadows are getting long, and this forest, the Gamboge Edgefield, a lot of deciduous green leafy trees, plenty of pines, evergreens, but it's not so dense that it appears, frightening or foreboding. You've seen some game trails. You've kind of made your way just under the, right at the front edge of where the forest and the flinty hills kind of come together as the forest kind of clears away. So it's actually, kind of a pleasant, if you want to, for a visual, equate it to state park, national forest type forest here in North America. So,
Okay.
I go to start a fire, and I kind of hesitate, and I turn to the group and I'm like, "Can someone can someone start this? I don't have any flint."
Boo! I hate it.
I'm serious. I don't have my flint.
I toss over
Uh,
a fire starter.
yeah.
Thank you.
I have no
And I
fire magic.
And I'm probably gonna spend the evening studying that spell book more.
okay. Very good. I will alert you to what else you learn. I think Burning Hands was the first
Burning
spell
Hands.
you discovered in there.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So Flint, you're working on making fire with the fire starter from Pavel. What are the rest of you doing?
I think I'm just tying old Bill up, and then I'll probably just sit down, start writing in my journal, sketching some stuff out.
Okay. Anybody else? Harlow?
I can't remember the last time Harlow used her sword. She's probably a couple of steps away, just kind of practicing with it, going through the movements and everything like that. Because her sword's a little sad these days, so I just doing
Sure.
practice and all that good stuff on it.
Very well. So, a couple hours pass by and it gets right down into darkness. And the typical forest sounds, you've seen hawks, you've seen buzzards. Occasionally you'll see signs of, you've passed a couple of game trails. You've seen an elk or two, a deer or two, things of that nature. But all seems pretty peaceful as evening comes. And again, it's the midway part of summer. So, the days are long. Light goes well into the evening. And it's you've had supper, all of that, and it's dark now.
I'm gonna look up at Harlow having practicing her sword moves and be like, "It's kind of like a dangerous waltz, right? I bet you're very good at waltzing."
I did have a dancing teacher briefly, but he was kind of a bit disconcerted with that. But yeah, it's all in your it's wrist, feet, and hips. That's what it is, mostly. I don't know. I only had about 6 months of training before I left with you guys.
Training from who?
There was a guy kind of found me on the street when I was staying, just after I got the sword, and I was practicing, and doing a really bad job of it. I think he kind of took pity on me, and he took me in and gave me some training. But we didn't get along that well, so the training stopped.
Hmm.
Yeah, Levi knew his stuff though. He was very good. He just didn't like that I could use magic. I didn't realize it, and I hit him one day with it, with the blast. That didn't go over well.
Hmm.
I was overconfident as well, apparently.
Well, I don't think you're very overconfident. I think you're just the right amount. You're very skilled.
Thank you. I'm trying. Hopefully I'll get better, and I will find another master someday, but thank you. Should go back to practicing. Only probably a little happier this time.
So are you all kind of near the fire now that it's dark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Still drawing away. This time, he's actually he's looking over at Harlow practicing, and then looking back and drawing some, and then looking back and then keep drawing.
Sweet pure boy, Lethyrus.
If
Farm
you guys
boy
ever
goes
get a
on
hold of his
adventures.
journal, you're in for a treat. Trust me.
Hey, Lethyrus, you seem like a soft, kind-hearted person.
Well, thank you.
Can I show you something and get your opinion?
Sure.
I'm gonna put something in chat that only Lethyrus can see
Okay.
and get his opinion on it. So in game, I'm going to take out a my notebook, and I'm going to hand it over to Lethyrus and see what he thinks. Oh, it didn't do it right. Yeah, it didn't do it right. Yeah, hold on. Technology. I swear I'm smart, you guys. Like it. Sometimes I actually know what I'm doing, and it comes off really well, and not at all awkward narratively. This is not that moment.
Well, Flint's a little awkward in general, so it kind of works.
Actually, it looks like I'll have to send it to you in Discord because it's too long. So, boom.
Oh, and her love bombs.
There it is.
Yeah. So,
Ah, yes. I knew it.
yeah. So, I mean, if you were a person who was romancing another person, would this be a good idea?
This is in common.
It's yes, it's in common.
All right. All right. He looks at it. He squints at it like, all right. I'm gonna need a couple minutes
That's fine. Just
to figure this out.
just honest feedback is appreciated, but do know that I might cry.
I will be honest, but heartfelt and gentle with my criticisms, if there are any. I promise. All right. He's gonna pull it close to his face and just lean in and squint really hard.
Please tell me he pulls out some reading glasses.
Unfortunately, no, he doesn't. But he has very good vision. He can't read common too well.
Oh dear.
So he'll be doing this for a while.
And before Harlow finishes, she's gonna go pop down next to Pavel.
No.
What?
I think Harlow finishes the part, she's really gonna go plop down next to Pavel.
I am okay. I am currently reading that spell book, so I'm sort of immersed in a big fucking dragon-bound leather dragon leather bound book when you sit down next to me.
She will just get the book. So.
From your time spent studying, Pavel, you've determined that the next level 1 spell is Charm Person.
Whew. Kayla, I couldn't unfortunately hear what you said. You were breaking up a little bit.
I know, what the hell. I'll just poke the book, just kind of.
Oh.
To kind of get in.
Hi, Harlow. What's up?
How's the book going?
Pretty good. I figured out that this first spell, and I point to like a page, and it's all just fucking gobbledygook, that like sort of code. This is Burning Hands, and this is Charm Person. They're very, they're obviously low-level spells, but I'm sure that the further I get into this, the more powerful the spells will be. Who knows? This Zelgar guy was supposed to be pretty damn powerful, so I'm sure.
Actually do magic, or are you still doing it through your arrows? Cool, your thing to do.
Oh, I couldn't understand that. Shit.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay. Technical difficulties, everybody.
Sound pixels.
Go right over to the other one. No. Is this any better?
Much better. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I had to disable the other one altogether. So are you gonna can you actually do it with your hands now, or are you still gonna do stuff with that cool thing with your arrows?
So that's sort of the reason I came up with the method to imbue magic into the arrows like that. It's because I can't do it normally. I have a lot of functional knowledge of magic. I know how to interact with the weave. I know, many incantations. I know somatic components for dozens of spells. But for whatever reason, I couldn't, take all those pieces and put it together. I don't know what it is. That doesn't work. But it doesn't work.
I don't know, when I lived next to the library ward. I saw a lot of wizards. I was gonna do that. That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I mentioned I'm from Relastra. I interacted with the wizards a lot. I'm very aware of what they're capable of. But I'll start weaving complicated hand symbols and spouting something off in Draconic, and I'll throw my hand forward, and there'll be a brief sputtering glow, and then nothing's gonna happen. That's about what I can do, and I don't know.
And they're a dime a dozen. This is cool. And she'll get up and walk off and probably go look for food.
And I'll just sort of embarrassed put my face back in the book.
Nice. As you're all sitting there talking and doing your thing, we'll just do a little perception action. You got the sounds of the forest. It's quieting down. The peeper frogs are peeping and the crickets are cricketing and all of that.
Roll on you too?
Sure.
I rolled a 10.
21.
Yeah, I got a 7 for me. Sonya would have been bad too. I gotta pull up her stats.
I have a 12.
Okay. So you see Harlow kind of wander off, search of something to eat, apparently. Flint, you hear a small rustle of leaves. What's that? Was that Harlow? Oop, she's froze. So Flint, you hear a small rustling in the leaves. Not too far in where the camping area is.
I immediately stand up, draw an arrow quickly, and I'm like, "Who's there?"
I will also immediately pull my bow and turn to wherever Flint's facing.
Okay. It's silent. And you hear rustling in the leaves again.
Right. I'm gonna sort of draw my bow, reach down, pick up a rock, and chuck it at the rustling.
Okay. Roll d20, Pavel.
Natural 13. Any modifiers?
Your dex.
My dex? Then it will be a 17.
So you hear the rock skitter off into the darkness, the leaves, and it hits something, and you hear kind of a
Like humanoid
some sort of little voicing like.
Alright, I'm gonna sort of.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was sort of gonna do like a you go left, I go right to Flint. Sort of
Gotcha.
like
I
pincer
nod and missed
around.
it. Yeah.
Okay. As you begin moving out into the firelight, spring 3 pretty small, diminutive, little, interesting-looking little creatures. I'm going to drop what they look like into the Discord chat. And they spring out into the firelight in a very kind of agile, dexterous, sprightly way, and they're all looking around at you. And for the Theater of Mind kids at home, the picture is downloading into Discord, so just be patient a second. What you have here, a couple of little, they're super scrawny bodies and like big heads, and the heads almost look, they're humanoid, but they're very short. Almost think like, does anybody remember Gremlins? And there was kind of an evil gremlin. What was his name? Gizmo.
Stripe.
No, Gizmo was...
Stripe.
Big head, skinny little body, and cute, and all that sort of thing.
Stripe was
skinny, scrawny, yeah, kind of muscular. And so if you look in Discord, you see 3 of these little guys jump out, and they're all looking up at you, and they're like, "Ooh, you're rather big." And only one of them's talking, and then the other one kind of elbows him. "I thought I was doing the talking." And he thumps him. "I'll do the talking. It's what he said I ought to do. I'm going to do the talking. Hello.
Hi.
What are you about in these here woods?" And they're looking up at you. The other one hasn't said a word. He seems maybe, or she, hard to tell, a little timid.
We're traveling. We're just stopping for the night. No, what manner of creature are you? I've not seen anything of your kind before.
"We're fey creatures. I can't believe he doesn't know we're fey creatures." And the other one, "I don't know. I don't know we're fey creatures." And the other one's glowy eyes and long, pointy ears. That's the part that kind of reminds me of gremlins. But their bodies are so scrawny under them, it's almost like doesn't look right. "I'm, in your language, a boggle. I'm a boggle, that's it. I'm a boggle. What are you?" And they're kind of walking around, inspecting your stuff, looking at you all.
Anything that gets
More
close to my
curious.
stuff. Anything that gets close to my stuff, I'm just gonna sort of push them away with my foot.
They don't want to be touched. As soon as you make a move to touch them, they kind of very skittish.
I would appreciate you not touch our things, small friends. I am a human.
Well, I am, but you're in his woods, and if you're in his woods, everything that's in his woods is his stuff, don't you know?
Is whose stuff?
Him, the master.
Who's your master?
They're looking around. Him who sent us. Who? I'm asking the questions. He told me to ask the questions, and he kind of gets a self-important.
You're breaking up a lot, Wiley.
Yeah.
Really? That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Still
think
doing
we're
it?
all only getting like bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. How about now?
Better.
Still?
Yeah.
I mean, it's coming and going is
Okay.
the problem. See, you're totally frozen now. Oh, there you
So
go.
he stands there like this. Am I? My back?
That's better.
Huh. So he stands there and regards you. I'm asking the questions here. He told me to ask the questions. So calm your knickers. You tell me who you are up in our forest.
I put my arrow to his nose. How about I ask you a few questions, as we're simple travelers.
His glowing eyes get like really big. Well, he didn't tell us you'd have sharp sticks now, did he, Winks? And the other two are like,
I push Pavel's hand away. I'm like, we're guests in their forest. You can't just do that. And I turn to them and I'm just like, I'm an ambassador of the Fostwood. That is my forest. Who is your master, if you don't mind my asking? I'd hate to be rude in his
the
house.
master is... I don't know his name. He's the master. He brought us here and asked us to talk to you. Like you're some kind of idiot. And here we are. So you travelers, eh? Where are you traveling to? Got anything to eat?
None of your business.
And the other one leans in. The other one leans in. You know, if I was asking the questions, we'd be eating by now.
You're more than welcome to join us for some dinner. I think we have some stew left over.
How many more of there are you lurking about in these here woods?
Just the
This
four
is all of us.
All of us, eh? All of who? Very suspicious. It's not right. I'm asking their permission with getting lead from them, is it?
Wiley? You're breaking up really bad again. Why don't you turn your camera off? Maybe
Okay.
Go through?
How's the audio? Is that better?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I just turned the video off.
It will just Pavel will have to fix the cameras, but
Oh, sorry about that.
if the audio
Wonder
if your
why
video's
that's-
up, it may not break up as much, your audio.
Yeah, try talking without the camera on.
Do you want me to stop video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
I
let's,
think it
let's
also
run.
helps if you're closer to the computer too, because I notice when you go back, it starts to break up a lot more.
Oh, okay. How's this?
Oh, it's so much better.
Sounds
Okay,
pretty good.
let's run with this.
Okay.
So, like, you still haven't answered my question about what you'd be doing in these woods.
And we told you we're traveling and we're just stopping here for the night. I think we said that 3 times.
Well, where are you traveling to, or maybe it's from? And you could tell this guy thinks he's some kind of smart, clever, interrogator or some such.
Well, we are on our way to the kingdom of Nyrond. Elf friends. We have some questions for them about certain magical items.
Elf Friends and magical items, you see. Now we're getting somewhere. Do these elf friends have a name, perhaps? He scratches his bald, gross chin. You notice there's these creatures have some kind of like an oil slick to them. And they leave like footprints and puddles. Like if they stand long enough, oil starts to pool at their feet, and they leave wet footprints as they kind of scamper about.
You're a bit
Well,
too curious. Why all the questions?
Well, it's what we're here to do. Ask questions and learn things.
if there's one thing that I've
Say,
learned
you're a
about the
bit of a
Fae,
suspicious lot for being a bunch of people in this forest, ain't you now?
but if there's one thing that I've learned about Fae, it's that we're never to give them names. So I'm afraid we're going to have to remain nameless in order for this interaction to continue. No disrespect or anything, but we do have to be careful.
You've spent some time in the woods, haven't you, cutie? He kind of gets close to you and looking at you.
It's
Hey
where I'm
now.
from, the Post Woods.
The first woods. Now we're getting somewhere. Very nice. Very nice. Very good indeed. And then they all kind of stop and freeze. And they look around and they get real quiet. And kind of almost, I don't want to say shimmering, but almost just appearing out of a taller humanoid figure, cloaked in dark green. The cloak, it's gotten, even for summer, it's just a little chilly. You're in the north, and so the cloak is drawn. There's maybe like a brooch, like a leaf clasping it. Hood is up. You can see the nose.
Is this your
Welcome.
master?
Welcome to the Gamboge. And he kind of waves his hand, and the three little things just scamper off they just vanish off into the darkness.
So you are the master then, that they continually talk about.
Well, they seem to think I am. It's a game I play. Never met Boggles before.
No.
They're a bit slow on the uptake, but they're certainly fun to have around and quite harmless, I can assure you. Oh, they'll defend themselves, but they don't pose much of a threat. So, as I was saying, welcome to the Gamboge. I merely asked them to come speak with you on my behalf. I find it smarter to not reveal myself, especially in the presence of strangers, until I've had a chance to assess the situation through my little friends.
Understandable. I'm the same way. It's dangerous when your forest is known for thieves and bandits.
Yes, the Fostwood, you say? Yes. The Fostwood can be a trying place to spend more than a night or two. Unless, of course, you know your way around. And he pulls his hood back, and you see a human male, probably well into maturity, 50s, 60s, looks to be in quite good shape. He's leaning on a beautifully carved, smooth, kind of shiny oak staff. You can see there's probably some weapon of sword-type variety hanging from his hip under the cloak, leather boots, and he closes his eyes and kind of gives you a half of a bow. Sedwig is my name, and I'm not really the master of much, just my little corner of the Gamboge here, but I am at your service. Welcome to the forest.
Well, thank you for not immediately attacking us. We've dealt with quite a bit in the past week, and I don't think any of us want to have more bloodshed.
Oh, I am not about bloodshed indeed. But one can't be too careful out in the woods alone at night, especially when one is outnumbered 4-1, plus, he looks around, plus 3 little lovable Boggles. really sweet they are. Not terribly helpful. But fun to have around. He also kind of undoes his cloak a little bit. You can see he's dressed. You know, he has like a leather tunic on, not armor. And he looks you over and regards you. So, what brings you to the forest on this lovely summer's eve?
As we mentioned to your little friends several times, as I thought you would just know, saying, you know, you said you judged the situation through them. We're traveling to some friends of ours in the kingdom of Nyrond. We're stopping here for the night. That's it.
The elves. See. How far into Nyrond do you plan to go to find elves?
It's the kingdom of Nyrond. It's all elves. That's total bullshit. I don't know if there's all elves.
There's certain elves in certain places. He kind of regards you, kind of tilts his head a little bit. Right. Any elves in particular, or just elves in general? They're also pleasant. I could understand certainly why you wish to go speak with them and spend time with them. They're quite amazing creatures.
I don't get into the habit of giving out friends' names when I'm not sure the company I keep. So I will have to just tell you that they are associates of ours.
Fair enough. Fair enough indeed. Well, how do you find our forest? Is there anything I can do for you? Any help you need? Is everyone well?
There is a
kinda look-
porcupine in
look
a bush a couple, like maybe like a mile back.
That was like a couple days ago.
Was it? I thought it was just recently.
It's like a day ago.
Oh, well. I misremembered. It was a month ago.
It wasn't a month.
What
It was a
business?
month in our time.
Oh, out of game time. I was like, what are you talking about?
I'm curious, what business would a minotaur have with a porcupine? And he regards you rather curiously, as if it's kind of sinking in that he's standing here talking to a minotaur amongst, you know, good peoples. And here's a minotaur.
Could you repeat yourself?
What business does a minotaur have with porcupines?
With a porcupine? I thought it was something else, and I was mistaken. That's about the long and short of it.
Sounds to me like perhaps you learned about porcupines the hard way.
About that particular porcupine, yeah.
Best left alone,
Yes.
most cases.
Now, you've been asking a lot of questions. I hope
Sure.
you don't mind us asking a few in return.
Not at all. Seems
Now, you seem to be... You claim to be no master or no ruler, but you definitely hold sway over those boggles. You clearly have some sort of power to sneak up on us, what appeared magical in nature. You are no mere man. Who are you?
as I said, I am Sadewig. My name actually means forest in an old dialect. I'm of the forest. I live in the forest. The forest is my home. I am what you might call druidic, a worshiper of the forest, and my particular fascination with nature and the forest is through the moon. So we are in my favorite time, the evening, the night. I can assure you I mean you no harm. But it's not every day. A tiefling, a minotaur. Are you an genasi?
That's what people keep saying, but I am of the opinion I am just a very strange half-elf.
I see. I don't recall ever encountering one of your likes. Well met indeed. And a minotaur. Are you really a minotaur, or were you changed from something?
Uh,
That's a
I
rude
um.
question.
Well, as far as I know, I'm just a minotaur. To be honest with you, I'm not even fully. I don't really fully understand what a minotaur is.
Oh, not just. No, no, never just. A minotaur, magnificent creature. And I mean you no offense when I say possibly changed from something, but where I call home, all kinds of things become all kinds of other things through magical divine means. So
I
given
mean,
it's not common to see minotaurs taking up with humans and genasi and beautiful tiefling, golden tiefling indeed. And so you've made me curious. Ordinarily, I don't contact travelers, but when I saw your group earlier today, I I couldn't resist, I suppose.
yeah, we are quite a interesting looking group. I'll give you that. But yeah, I don't know. We're all just came together. We're all friends. I think there's a lot of confusion among us about what's what. I know I'm confused most of the time, but
And the whole time, whenever any of you are speaking, he's fully present with the speaker. Visually, maybe he'll stroke his chin or rub his hand, clasp his hands together a little bit. Eye contact, fully invested in what's being said.
You must
Clearly
not
very curious and interested. Go ahead.
you must not get around a lot. This is a land of many a fabulous thing, and if our party here surprises you such, you must not see much outside of your small neck of the woods.
See what you did there. I live deep in the woods. This is as close to the edge as I'll often come. I'll watch trade routes from a distance. I try to keep the woods safe from intruders. I try to keep the woods neutral and present as a resource, but I don't take lightly those who would trespass or cause harm to creatures and things in the woods. But you're right, I rarely interact. But what has me curious most of all is just the fact that all of you are together. Each of you is a very distinct individual, unrelated to the other. And so it just made me curious. Most of what I see, there are a handful of trade routes not far, some that pass through the forest. But when I see, it's usually groups of the same, all dwarves, all gnomes, all halflings, all humans. Never a genasi in my years, ever. And I've never been blessed to speak with a minotaur. I would ordinarily be a little concerned about you being in the forest, yet here you are, naive, innocent, and apparently confused.
would a minotaur usually be a problem?
Well, some are not known to be as friendly and kind as you seem to be. I suppose it depends on how you treat them. Um, I think perhaps some might be misunderstood given uh, their presence, their size, and of course, there are so many wives' tales and legends of minotaurs and labyrinths and carnage and so forth. But you seem quite harmless. I suppose you could probably wreak some havoc if you wish to.
I mean, sure. I'm pretty strong, I guess. It's like he suddenly turns to Pavel. Is that why you asked me about being in the labyrinth when we first met?
Yes.
This all makes a whole lot more sense now.
And then he starts laughing with you, and he laughs louder than any of you, and deeper and fruitier, earthier, in a non-patronizing way. Like literally, he just got a knee slapper when he reacts to your reaction to Lyra.
I'm so suspicious of this guy.
I like it.
Same.
Well, as I said, you are free to sit with us and enjoy some food.
I would love that. And if it's all right with you, because this is my time, and I presume at some point you must rest, I will be more than happy to keep watch over your camp. Not to watch your camp, but to make myself available as a protector for the evening
That's
when you do retire for the night. Because I find you to be kind and truthful and good souls.
I appreciate the offer, but it's better to stick to our standard watch schedule. You know, we don't want to lose track of things.
Certainly not inviting you to get out of your rotation. I understand. Just
So
to
no,
extend a kindness. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
no, never mind.
I'm just gonna sort of settle back with my food and open my book back up.
I'm gonna
keep an eye out of him out of the corner, though.
I'm gonna turn to our new friend and be like, he doesn't trust you.
So I've determined. It's fine. Would you trust a random stranger who sort of materialized out of the woods, out of nowhere?
Cautiously.
I've made
I
that
understand.
mistake before.
He chuckles. So as you're all sitting there small talking, he'll pull out a pipe and pack a little, some sort of herbage in there and light it. So how long have you been on the road, good friends?
A few weeks now, I think. Time gets rather confusing in the places we've been.
Very well, understand.
I think I've been on the road for maybe 2 weeks, possibly 3.
So it sounds as if you've traveled great distance.
I think so. I don't have a map on me. I don't know where we really are in relation to where I've been, so I'm certainly far away from where I usually am.
You've
He smiles and blows some smoke. You know there's value in your... I'm sorry?
said, I'm just like at Lethyrus, I'm like, you've been traveling without a map.
Well, yeah, I was, I told you I was with the caravan for a while, and then I kind of just decided, hey, wouldn't it be fun to, wander off? And then I ran into you guys and didn't buy a map. Just been with you the entire most of the time. I wasn't a navigator in the caravan.
That just seems ill-advised.
Sure. Not going to disagree.
A caravan, you say?
Yes, sir.
What sort of caravan?
Merchant.
Merchant, yes.
Dwarven merchant.
Several of those about.
Mm-hmm.
There's a trade route or a caravan road that runs down through the southwest corner of the forest, not far from here. Less than half a day's hike. And it runs down to a place called Stone Meat in the Flinty Hills, which From here directly to the southeast to Stonemead is maybe day and a half march on foot. Popular place, great stone at the center of the small settlement, place where two trading routes cross. An inn, constabulary, few small houses, little buildings, and a great bit of land set aside for caravans to stop, camp, resupply, trade, sell. Quite a busy little place for being in the middle of nowhere. And so because of the proximity, of course, we'll see merchant and trade and small military caravans through the forest.
You said will see. You will, or we will. Are you alone out here?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm me. I don't have a family here other than, I mean, the forest is my family. When that's everything in the forest. The creatures, the fae, the boggles, and he kind of looks around as if maybe they're still somewhere nearby. The forest is life. So yes, I often refer to it as we, and by we I mean they and me.
I just sort of look into the fire and I say that must be somewhat lonely.
Oh, not at all. It's wonderful. I find that civilization among the humans, demi-humans, and humanoids to be so chaotic and so stressful and demanding and busy. It's so peaceful and alive out here. I can't imagine. I went to Stonemead one time on some business and couldn't get away from there fast enough. Lovely to meet some wonderful people, but a horribly uncomfortable. So few trees. Horribly uncomfortable.
I find their beds very strange, that much I must admit, but it was nice to be with people for a brief time.
Well, when you find good people, I would agree. Like, I am enjoying myself this evening immensely. Your company is wonderful. I feel safe in your presence. I don't sense a threat. And he kind of looks over at Pavel and nods, like as if to say, I see you, see me. I will say that I do respect you greatly for not taking wood you don't need or killing needlessly or for sport.
I would never. It's just not the right way to treat a forest. Alona would not have it.
Excellent. I wish more people regarded the forest and the land as you do. What other questions? You said you had questions. What can I answer for you?
History of your woods.
The history of the woods.
Your forest.
The forest. The gamboge. These woods, these lands are old. Old lands. There once was a greater expanse of forest to the south and west across Nyrond. In fact, the gamboge and the Fostwood at one point were actually part of one big larger forest. So imagine, Genasi, what that scope of that, what that might be, given that you come from Fostwood. So yes, this forest is old. I've only lived in it for a brief bit of its history.
long exactly?
How long have I lived in this forest?
Mm-hmm.
I am 57 winters.
Do I believe him?
Roll an insight.
11.
He seems at face value to be very forthright, very honest. His responses are not, he doesn't seem to take time to consider very carefully what he's saying.
Okay.
Seems reasonably honest to you.
Carlo, stop glaring at him so much.
Pavel found an interesting part in the book, so he's not really paying attention anymore.
Very good. What other questions have you? What else would you like to know?
W- you said druidic. What does that mean?
Oh, yes. I am a druid, a worshiper of nature, and I am of the Order of the Moon.
Is that magic?
In a manner of speaking, nature's magics, yes.
Nature has magic?
At this,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna pop up. Yes, Letherus. There are many ways that one can obtain magic. Study. It could be part of who you are, a natural part of your blood. You can gain it through prayer and worship of a deity, or as druids, through the reverence of nature itself. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on druids. I know you have your own secrets that even academics are not privy to. But typically, druids exist in enclaves, groups. Are you the only druid here?
No. But our group, our enclave, if you will. And you're wise for your young years. You know much, perhaps more than you give yourself credit. Our
Eh,
circle of the moon is small, and we meet with the cycle of the moon. And we watch over the forest and its inhabitants and the creatures who belong here and the creatures who do not.
Have you seen undead in your forest?
And he regards you very seriously. I have not. I hope to never see undead in the Gamboge forest. I mean, I won't say there's never been the random here, but no undead with purpose, with nothing ever trying to seek refuge or take up residence in the Gamboge. Why do you ask?
I have dealt with the undead in the Fostwood, and I worried about their reach.
No, nothing here, but again, our order is vigilant. We're not the only order of druids who inhabit these woods. There's such a long expanse of land between the Gamboge and the Fostwood. If you were to leave the northwest edge of the Gamboge, it would be a full day's march to the southeast edge of the Fostwood, if you recall. And that land is split between the Kingdom of Nyrond and the Theocracy of the Pale, the Universal Church. And so, being south of the Theocracy and north of a military kingdom, we're not troubled much in these parts. by undead.
What about a
It has been a long time since I've seen them, but I still worry.
As well you should. Typically, if memory serves, the undead that you may have encountered in the Fostwood were probably to the west. The bandit kingdoms are to the west. And so, that if, again, it's been some time since I've traveled to the Fostwood. He doesn't seem quite satisfied with your answer that you've dealt with the Fostwood, or with the undead in the past, in the Fostwood. He seems just a bit curious about that.
Well, you're welcome to the Fostwood anytime. I don't know if I will be there to protect it, so having diligent eyes would be welcome guests.
Well, I'm honored by your invitation, and perhaps someday we will meet there. As I said, it's been some time since I've been there. It is nice to meet someone who is not of our order or not a druid, who holds such great reverence for the forest.
Well, it saved my life.
Roll me, Clint, a religion check. You notice on his brooch there's an oak leaf and an acorn pressed in the brooch. You know, the image of an oak leaf and an acorn.
That's gonna be a 20.
Twanky.
Okay. So based on that, seeing that brooch, you recognize that as the holy symbol of Obad Hai, who is the god of nature. A typical, you've heard of druids, you know, the shepherds of the forest, if you will, or the shepherds of the land. And you know that there are many circles of druids who are devoted to Obad Hai. That's OBAD hyphen HAI.
Mm-hmm.
He is a neutral god of nature. And so you recognize that brooch as you would presume to be a holy symbol of Obad Hai. Well, if you have no more questions, if there's anything else you'd like to learn, I will take my leave. And he kind of stands up and, you know, sort of shakes the debris off of his cloak and so forth, and he leaves. It may have picked up.
Has there been any orc movement?
I'm sorry?
Has there been any orc movement through the forest?
No, that would not be permitted.
Okay.
I think most orcs in this part of the world know better than to, certainly not to venture into the woods in very small groups, because they will not leave here alive. None have yet had the steely will to assemble and march through the forest. Trouble with orcs, eh?
Lethier's clearly taken aback by this information.
Why do you ask? Kind of tilts his head looking at you.
We've heard some things. I just want to know if there's been reports here as well as where we've heard them.
Ah,
They're in the Flint, they're in the Flinty Hills, right? That's where they've been seeing a lot more activity.
yeah, and it's a pretty common knowledge that there are many of the humanoid types, orcs, goblinoids, hobgoblins, things. But if you recall, there was a large group of them assembled not far from Edgefield, not far from where Lord Thanon and High Meadow Manor is. And it seemed odd because there was no real understanding of why they were there. They weren't interacting. They weren't pillaging and plundering. They were keeping to themselves, doing orky things, but not doing orky things to the humanoids and the demi-humans.
I'll pass the information on.
What sort of knowledge do you have on the orcs in this area? Do they separate themselves by tribes?
For ages, yeah.
I didn't catch any of that.
A stronger. Did I break up again?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're good now.
About now. Good now? Okay. It must be this lovely Marriott internet. The weave in this Marriott is not strong. But as I was saying, sometimes the orcs may find themselves led, not always willingly, by a more evil, stronger presence. But they do tend to organize in tribes around their own hierarchy, not to be trusted. Evil as evil gets.
I'm gonna draw something in one of my notebooks and go. Do you recognize this symbol?
Oh. He looks at it again. I do not. Where did you get that symbol? What is it?
I was told it was associated with the orc tribes. The orcs that are causing the problems. That's all I'm gonna say on that matter, though.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. No, I do not recognize, but I will say that the tribes will often identify themselves by some symbol or, saying, ideology, even sometimes a deity. And again, they're also easily made into slaves or servants of some stronger, greater evil. Sometimes they are for their own purpose. Sometimes they are pawns in other people's games.
I wonder if it's
Best to
go see the elves.
Best to keep them where you can see them.
It could be Harlow. It could be.
So is it fair to say you're making your way for Arndulance?
Yes.
It's the only elvish gathering, for lack of a better term, I'm aware of in this area. Until you get deeper into Nyrond or further west. Excuse me. Yeah, west, which is the direction you're heading.
That is where we hope to find our associates.
I see. Well, a fine bunch of Sylvan elves, indeed. They serve good purpose. We communicate, we talk. They help us keep watch on the borders of the Nyrond and the forest here in the Flinty Hills. And that, in fact, is their purpose. They were, as I understand it, they were hired by the Nyrondese because of their prowess in forestry and with all things natural. And so they serve as a group of watchers more than anything.
Well, as he gets up to leave, because I'm assuming he's about to head out for the evening, I stand up and I stick out my hand and I say, Flint. My name is Flint.
Oh. Well met. And he offers, shakes your hand. Again, I am Sayedwig. If you should need anything, I can't really be summoned. How nice would that be? But I can be found. And he holds up his brooch. This is the symbol of my deity, Obad High. If you see this carved into rock, soft earth, inscribed upon stone, you'll know that my order is near. Please wish the elves of Arndulant well for me.
We will.
Very well. It was a pleasure to meet all of you. I wish you good fortune. Be ever vigilant, for the wilds are dangerous. I'm sure you know that already. And of course, don't go sticking your face into any shrubbery for fear of porcupines. And he winks at Lithyrus.
He's like absentmindedly, just like, yeah. he's thinking real hard. He's all scrunched up.
Very well. I will take my leave of you. I will not be anywhere near your camp yet. I will be vigilant this evening. Feel free to set your own march. And he just kind of steps off into the dark, quietly walking.
I didn't like him.
Clearly.
He asked too many questions.
I'm not good at being friendly.
I mean, our interactions beg to differ.
I'm used to you.
It would have been one thing if he had just, like, asked us who we were and then gone, cool, bye. But, like, he was very nosy.
I guess we're in his forest, but
Well, we're in a forest that he lives in. That doesn't make it his.
No, we are in his forest.
Does he own it?
Paul.
I lived in the woods for a while. I understand that the woods belong to no one. Just because you caretake a portion of the forest does not make you its owner.
It is his forest as much as he is the forest's. It is a symbiotic relationship. They are equals, but he knows his place. It's
I would
complicated.
question if people came in my house.
He still asks too many questions. I'm gonna lay it down and go to sleep.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. I won't argue your point. So I know you guys were talking about the orcs and stuff. You kind of filled me in on some of that earlier, but are most orcs really that bad?
I've never met one. I don't know.
From what I read, they're pretty nasty.
Oh,
But I'm only going by what I've read.
well, maybe it's one of those it's like he said, people think minotaurs are like, oh, so bad or evil, but I'm fine, so maybe it's just one of those things.
While orcs
Why-
on their own aren't necessarily evil. The problem is that they're, from what I've read, their pantheon, the gods they worship, are basically all evil. They revel in destruction and chaos. And if you were an orc who grew up in a society that revered those gods, you would likely grow up revering chaos and violence as well.
And those gods are?
I couldn't name them off the top of my head.
To Arlo's education, would she know them? She's been given the general nobles education.
I mean, like,
Right.
I might know one, like, or two, but like Devin doesn't know.
It does strike you as odd again that encampment of orcs. What did we decide about 4,000 of them is so close to a major, like a regional seat of government, and yet it's not appearing to have contact with it. It's there, and if you were close enough, you've heard tales of orcs out and about, kind of raising hell, but not plundering, raping, pillaging, doing serious orc things to, neighboring humanoid communities like you would expect them to be doing.
What if they're an invasion force waiting for something?
Potentially. Grumsh. That's the name of the primary orc deity.
Oh yeah, the orc deity is
Grumsh.
Grumsh.
Uh,
Grumsh.
he's notable as one of the only gods to ever wound Corellon, the progenitor of the elves.
Yes. So
Awesome.
with this, as you're talking yourselves to your slumber, let's go ahead and take a break. Is there any other role play you'd like to accomplish before we do that?
That's fine.
No,
I'm good.
Yeah.
As like settling down for the evening and continuing for watch and everything, I'm gonna turn to Harlow and be like, if you have any dreams, let me know. And just cryptically sit by the fire and say, I'll take first watch.
Yeah.
I'll take second.
There is one thing I forgot about briefly. Flint's thing that we were doing before this whole interaction.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, is it like in a book or is it a little piece of paper you handed me?
It's in a notebook.
A notebook. All right. So after that situation, I'm going to hand back the notebook and say, I loved every word. I think it's top notch. Whoever it's for, I think she'll like lean in real close and whisper, I think she'll really enjoy it.
Do I hear this?
I don't know, do you? Roll perception.
Roll perception.
I probably camp near Flint, so we usually switch from one next to the others when it comes to watch. So let's see.
I roll perception. The forest has kind of gone mostly quiet. It's late.
Only 12.
I'd say as long
Yeah, you can tell that. But
I'd say that she heard it.
I gotta see them go. What?
Nothing. When like you didn't know that Gray could turn red so quickly, but
that's awesome.
Flint just goes like flush.
Nothing good.
All right. Ready for break?
Yeah, let's take a break real quick.
All right. We'll be back.
Alrighty, we're back. Pardon my darkness. I'm not trying to be sinister or anything, but I'm traveling for work and I'm in a hotel in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And the internet in this particular hotel is not sufficient for video and audio, which is strange because thanks to my status with Marriott, I have the enhanced internet package. But apparently it's not all that enhanced.
Well, aren't you fancy?
Aren't I special? I am in the Titanium Elite Club, whatever the hell that is. It gets me enhanced internet that's not really all that great. Okay, so y'all had an encounter with a sort of a mysterious druid named Sedwig, and it's sleepy time. It's overnight.
Yep.
And you pass through all of your watches uneventfully. It's a quiet night in the forest, quite peaceful. You hear nothing, you see nothing, nothing out of the ordinary. Very quiet.
Weird dreams. I just sleep peacefully.
No weird dreams, no visions, no chocolate fountains, no dragons flying, hovering silently over your encampment. Nothing like that. Almost disappointing, isn't it?
It's fine. Sometimes
So-
you need to get the solid long rest.
Yeah, consider yourselves well long rested. In fact, you stayed up sort of late into the evening. So even the early riser like Flint, I think, is usually one of the first up. It used to be Stoneheart, right? Making taters. But Flint, for you slept past sunrise, which is not common for you, right? You're usually up with the worms. But you're not sure if just a peaceful slumber is to blame or you were tired or what, but the sun is up by the time you arrive.
The minute I'm up, I'm checking through my stuff to make sure the boggles didn't touch it.
Yeah. No oil trails or anything near your stuff. You could see where they were, and you can kind of make out where they dashed off into the woods with their trails of oil. But nothing seems to be out of place.
All right. Well, I'll make sure all my stuff's all packed and get ready to go.
Very good.
When I wake up, I look at Flint and just go, and then get up and get ready to leave.
Yeah, me neither.
I
Still
sort of
looking out.
look back and forth and go, eh.
I was gonna say I was just gonna look at Pavel and shrug, but I mean, I don't think Letherius is terribly observant right now to begin with, so I guess we'll just get going.
All right.
Okay. You get yourselves up and cram a little something hard tack down the gullet and off you go.
Yep.
And so you're basically you're not going due west, it's more west southwest, and the forest eaves where they meet the hills are almost due west for much of the day. And as you recall, you can go on your mappage, you can go about 5 hexes a day without feeling like you're pressing it, top speed running, wiped out after 8 hours. Do you want to be in the hills or do you want to stay in the cover of the trees?
Well,
Neither one would be any advantage as far as timing or pace.
we'd basically been skirting right in the edge.
Yeah.
That's how we've been traveling so far. I think it's what we'll continue to do, I think.
Okay. So maybe just inside the tree line so as to enjoy a bit of concealment. Yeah, and you're able to do that. Like I said, the forest, especially at the edge, it's not super dense or anything, and you're easily able to wind your way through the trees. About midday, you break through the trees, and there's a road crossing your path at an angle to the northwest and to the southeast. And it winds its way down through the hills but its path through the woods seems to be fairly straight for as far as you can see, several hundred yards.
This must have been that caravan road he was talking about.
Hmm.
Well, it's not going in our direction, so.
Yep. Maybe we'll use it on our way back.
Potentially.
We don't have a map or anything that we can tell if there's a settlement nearby.
Well, he said if
On
we
that
head
one.
southeast, we get to that trading post.
Stone meat. Yeah, as the crow flies from where you camped, it would be a good day and a half. You've gone half a day west, and so you're probably almost day and 3/4. If you were to take that road, your guess would be day and 3/4.
Yeah.
If you went regular, to get to Stone Meat.
There's a chance it could be a useful road on our way back to the east, but I say for now we just continue on our present heading.
Is it too
Good
much
idea.
just to want to sleep on a rail bed?
What's the point of rail beds? They're so uncomfortable.
I think they're comfy. And they're not on the ground, and they're not damp, and there's no bugs. And it's just nice, and there's cover, and there's only a breeze if you want there to be a breeze. And then there's blankets when you snuggle up and you're curled up in a ball and you're so warm, and then there's pillows and there's feathers, and it's just so nice, and I miss it. But no,
I don't know. It's cramped, and then there's another person in there with you, and
it doesn't have to
There's
be.
not always another person in the bed when you're in the bed.
that's the only experience I've had.
When did you sleep in a bed?
When we first went to the inn.
Oh. Why didn't you get your own room?
I did have my own room.
Who else was in the bed?
It seems that I have divulged perhaps something inappropriate. So I'm going to continue walking and talking very loudly and not looking at.
Nope. Hey,
Video.
Flint,
Oh, yeah.
Flint, come back.
No, it's fine. We gotta get to the elves, you guys. Like time's running out. We got a magical item that could be very dangerous. This is an ultra important mission of extreme importance.
We're all walking in the same direction. You can't really.
Yes, but we could be walking much faster and silently.
Letheris is just holding old Bill walking in. Yeah. Letheris is just walking the back of the old Bill. He's like, oh.
I don't need that from you, old Bill. Like, she doesn't realize it was Letheris.
Now, if I remember correctly, you did once upon a time ask some questions about being with people. Were you being entirely truthful when you said you hadn't been with anyone?
Yes, of course. I don't lie.
Then what were you doing in a bed with a person at the inn?
It doesn't have to
Sleeping.
be sexual.
What's sexual?
Sexual means, and I sort of whisper the definition of, I guess, having sex into Flint's ear.
That seems highly inappropriate.
It's,
Are you a snuggler?
it's,
What?
some people don't do it. Some people don't do it because they think it's inappropriate. Some people do it a lot. It's very personal.
What's the point of it? I don't get it.
Well, on one half, that's how you make babies.
Arlo walks away.
On the other half, it feels good if you do it right.
Oh?
All you hear is giggling in the floor.
You can do it wrong?
Oh yeah, trust me.
That's
Wait.
not it.
That's the other. I can mess this up?
Paddle, oh god, no.
Yes, you can.
Oh, great.
Wait, no, Flint.
Trust me, no one teaches you about it, which is a big problem, because then when you try it, take it from me, not the best.
I mean,
usually.
I don't know about you, but I mean, I'd I was taught about it.
You have some very progressive parents. Where I grew up, that was like a big no-no. Don't talk about it. Don't think about it. Don't look at it. Nothing.
Well, it seems like all of your parents, or pardon me, but lack thereof, probably didn't, lend much opportunity.
A single tear.
Anyway, Flint, I don't. What Pavel said might be true, but what my mom told me is that as long as you're both having a nice time, then you're not doing it wrong. I mean, it's about communication.
Yes, I should note that uh, generally the way to do it wrong is to be real selfish about it.
Exactly. As long as you communicate.
Carlo is laughing up a lung. She's bent over crying, laughing.
Why is
in the
this
corner.
funny?
Because usually people know about it at least a little bit, even like really out of touch people in most cities.
Wait, Lathyrus leans down and whispers, was the person in your bed about the one in the poem?
That is none of your business.
Alright, just asking.
It could be a complete stranger, because I totally know about all this stuff.
Natural
Screw you
20
guys.
insight check. Yes, it is.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Obviously, I couldn't hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Look, at who I sleep with or do not sleep with, in terms I'm coming to understand, is no one's business.
Oh, yeah.
And that's entirely your prerogative.
I respect that.
Wait, what'd you say, Harlow?
But you keep talking about them.
I haven't said a name ever, so you don't know.
Flynn has a
I
girlfriend.
can list
I remember
the
you flirting a bit.
Yeah, I can list
With
the
flirt.
amount of people we've interacted with on like one hand.
I've met several people in my life, so like.
Yeah, but at the inn,
You don't know what happens. I could have talked to a complete stranger at the bar and had a lovely conversation. You don't know.
yeah, over a glass of coffee.
No, coffee would be horrible. I didn't have coffee until the next day.
Right.
Oh, that was the night of the whiskey.
Oh yeah, whiskey's great.
Carlo cracks up again.
Look, just because I'm not as worldly as you guys doesn't mean that
Ha!
I'm an idiot, okay?
I'm not saying you're an idiot. I understand that you don't understand that particular concept. I'm just saying
You're
that
just so adorable.
it is at least semi-obvious the secondary party who is in your bed.
It's not, because you don't know.
Okay.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm sure if my parents were any different, I wouldn't know either. With them being who they are, they wanted to make sure I was informed.
So, let's get going to the elves, guys. This has been a lovely distraction. I'm not at all embarrassed. Let's go.
Sure thing, he just pats you on the back.
I mean, I assumed we'd been walking this whole time, so.
Let's walk faster and not talk about feelings.
Lathyrus leans down next to Harlow. It's like, Flint's got a girlfriend.
Really? So it's true. I was just teasing her. Is it really?
I mean, she talks about this mystery person all the time. I think she has a girlfriend.
She like does a happy dance and plays and stuff like that. It's like, oh my god, I cannot wait to find out more. She just walks along with that.
Why are you dancing? Flint is very confused.
We're having a party.
I just want you to know that there was nothing in any of the Sly Flourish Lazy Dungeon Master books that said this was going to happen.
About having the birds and the bee talk?
Yeah, this was nowhere in any of the books.
I'm shocked, actually.
What
So
you do
it-
when your characters have sex ed?
That's right. Glad I didn't have to referee that. So yeah, your day passes uneventfully. It's a beautiful summery day, a little breezy, a little on the cooler side. Like you can tell that some different air masses come through. It's a little cooler today, and you have a good laugh and some nice time together. And you're into the close to the supper time. It's starting to become twilight, and you're easily less than half a day away from Arndulance, but it's reaching the end of a day. It would be a stretch. You would get there in the middle of the night if you pressed on.
Yeah, I just camp. Assuming
Yeah.
that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, let's just stop for the night. As eager as I am to get some answers, I'm very, very tired.
Okay, so you can easily set up camp per the usual.
Mm-hmm.
Make fire, make food,
Yep.
make googly eyes, make conversation, talk biology, whatever you need to do.
Pavel reads his book.
Yeah,
As
and you
per
learn,
usual.
or you discover, I should say. I shouldn't use the word learn, but you do discover that the next spell that you're able to decipher is. Hang on, I got to get my detect magic.
Okay. Voice.
And from what you can tell, I think I told you this before, but it looks like there's still 5 more spells in this section of the book.
Yep.
Okay.
And
So
he's
it's
not
easy-
really. He's not. I'm not like super stressed to figure it out. It's more just like it's like a hobby now.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
So, Lynn.
Harlow, why are you bouncing so excitedly?
To me, I don't know. Harlow's just like the past couple of days to me has just been so happy to be out, so she just kind of gets her hyper spurts. And this is just making her so happy because she knows she's gonna make you a little uncomfortable, but in a good way. So, is it that bard you had told me about? When I
Is
saw you flirting with, or at least attempting to flirt with.
It's flirting.
Is it in your etiquette book?
Let me check. And I look down and I flip through it. It's like, I mean, there are things about how to attract a man for marriage and courting, but I'm not seeing this word flirting anywhere. And I've read this book cover to cover several times.
Flirting is is basically just unofficial courting.
Yeah.
Courting off the record.
Talking with suggestion.
Suggestion to what?
Some smooching.
Harlow will lean in and kind of like, well, you see, sometimes you talk to people like this, and you offer to go up to their room with them, sometimes if they buy you a drink.
That has
Harlow
never
will try-
happened to me ever.
Actually, not very.
I mean, I have invited persons to my room before for discussion.
What
But-
type of discussion?
Well, I asked her how to lie.
I can have a bit of flirting with it too, yeah. In my circles, a lot of flirting's lying. A lot of courting too.
That doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, I come from horrible people. Don't worry. But shit, I'm trying to remember that. That session where we talked about it. But I don't remember what it was. A gift for somebody. Do you remember?
I not sh-
It was back in the early beginning.
sure.
But what does she look like? Is she pretty? Does she have nice hair?
Yes.
Tell me about her.
I mean, why? You've met her.
The bard?
Yes.
You're no fun.
What about her? I don't understand the line of questioning. We were done discussing in the basement. I wanted to continue talking with her, so I invited her to my room to talk. Is that not a common practice?
Yeah, but it's a boring one. She'll lose interest and she'll just probably just start cleaning her sword or something.
I said, well, she did give me this letter with a flower. Is that a thing?
Yes. Yes. What's in the letter?
Okay. I look through my bag, I pull it out, and I read it. And I hold like a pink flower like in my hand. No, I lost the flower. I remember that. It says, I will keep the memory of last evening close. Our talk means a great deal to me, and I will be looking forward to continuing our conversation. K.
See, letters like that and flowers are often a token of affection. Kind of means something. Something significant, maybe.
Is this not a thing that people just do?
Someone help me.
I'm not strangers usually, as I'm to understand.
Well, I mean, I don't really know her besides one tragic backstory that she told me that I should never repeat ever.
See, now that makes me think she wants to be close to you, and she gave you a flower and gave you that nice little note. So I think that means she likes you.
Flowers are often a sign of courting.
Yeah, like if I were to give you a flower, it'd just be like a flower, but a flower with all of that, like weight to it, means she probably likes you.
I flip vigorously through my etiquette book and I'm like, it doesn't say anything about giving a gentleman flowers. It's all about being a proper lady and waiting for the gentleman to and not appearing to it.
That's very out of date. I
And
even for where I was raised and the stuff I've been through, that's out of date. That's for like 10,000-year-old old biddies who think like everything else that just it's not important.
I just stare at the book and I stand up and I just huff over to the fire and I just throw it in the fire and I'm like, Book of Lies!
I'm gonna like look up at you because I haven't really been paying attention. I just see you throw the book in the fire. What was that about?
It's a book of lies, that's what it is.
Why?
A book of lies that has not prepared me at all for dealing with love or flowers or notes or people and
You
It is.
you can't learn love out of a book, friend. And trust me, that's coming from me. I live for books. You can't learn that stuff out of there. It's messy. It's something you just gotta learn as you go along. It hurts. It sucks. But it's how it goes.
The book's good for dealing with people and in stuff like that and higher ups, but love, no. That's very out of date.
Matter
Like, that's even out of date for my circles.
Matters of the heart are very personal, very very varied from person to person, and there's never ever going to be a rule book that will tell you how to deal with it, because what works for you would never work for me. What works for me would never work for Latheris.
I just sort of stare into the fire and say, I asked her how to lie. I should have asked her to know when someone's telling the truth. And then I sort of walk off into the forest a ways to be alone.
Lathir's is gonna look after her, and then open his book and write something down on a little piece of paper. Like, is your stuff by the fire? You take it with you. What?
We can't hear you.
Sorry, I turned it off because there was a train going. I usually just have pouches on my belt. I don't really have a big bag or anything. But my quiver might be by the fire, I guess. So there might be
Okay.
a pocket on that.
All right. So he's gonna write something down on a piece of paper. He's gonna rip it out. He's gonna fold it up. He's gonna put it in your quiver for later for you. So remember that piece of paper in your
I
quiver.
can't. I'm not there.
Just you, Shannon. Remember.
Yes,
to look.
Abby.
Piece of paper for you.
So Pavel's reading and Harlow's a little maybe at a loss for words after that conversation.
I'm not reading anymore, I don't think. I think
I just assumed you went back to your book when Flint kind of stomped off.
No, I think I'll be done reading at that point.
Okay. So it's definitely evening. It's getting on. Flint, would you roll a perception check for me, please?
Gladly.
How far away from the group do you go?
I just sort of maybe like 30 feet into the darkness. It's 23. I'm rolling amazing.
You have dark vision, though, don't you, as a Genasi?
Nope.
You're the one in the party that doesn't have dark vision.
It's me and Flint.
Yeah, and Lyala probably. So as you're kind of, kicking rocks and annoyed with things, and part of you is excited to be talking about this again, and the other part of you is like annoyed. Because why the hell does this have to be so freaking complicated, right? And you kind of glance up and you see, not far from you, the ghostly greenish flame outline of a humanoid standing in the woods. It's taller than you. It seems like a familiar silhouette. And it's weird because it's outlined, the shape of the humanoid is outlined in this kind of this greenish, flickery flame. Weird. But it doesn't look like it's burning. And it approaches you. And it lifts a hand towards you and holds it out almost like a greeting. And then you hear a voice. Welcome, friend. And it's a familiar voice. It's a very musical, elven voice. And then a second dark figure appears behind it. And a ball of glowing light appears on the staff of the second dark figure. And you see before you two elves, one male, very clearly recognizable by you as Tenil Leoral. The flames extinguish as the light lights up, and he has this almost shit-eating grin on his face. And then you see a smaller, what appears to probably be a female elf beside him, smaller in stature, and they stand there smiling. And they kind of bow. What do you think of my light show? He says.
What What?
Wasn't that really neat?
Your show?
He's like almost disappointed. Rowan here wanted to kind of play a little trick on you when I told her who you were. And so she cast fairy fire on me. It's a spell. And it
Oh,
made me sort of glow. Isn't it really cool?
did, how are you? Why are you here?
Well, you're very near to the encampment, to the outpost. I presume that's what brings you here.
Yes, we're looking for you. Something serious.
Oh, you're not by yourselves.
No,
He
it's.
winks. Like, I know that. We've been tracking you. Come, let's go to the fire. Let's visit the others.
All right.
And he offers his hand.
I guess I take it.
Well, I'm really disappointed you didn't think that was cool. I really, really thought you were going to think that was. I think it was pretty cool.
I have a lot on my mind right now. Things are
Apparently.
complicated.
Let's get back to the others. And so they kind of flank you and kind of go back to the fire. You know, you weren't that far away that you couldn't see that there was fire, all of that. And so for the rest of you, Pavel and Theris and Harlow, out of the shadows, well, actually bobbing towards you is a white light off in the darkness. And as they get close enough, you can tell there are three figures that kind of step into the firelight, and it's Flint. And Pavel and Harlow, you recognize Tanil Leoral. Elvish names are so hard to say. And a female elven companion.
I'm still gonna stand up with my sword out and just look alert. Just in case.
He stops and affords you the chance to look him over. And he kind of puts in front of Rowan. And she stops and kind of looks at him like, they're your friends? Kind of as if to say on her face, well met travelers, welcome to the western reaches of the Gamboge. You're less than a day's march from the outpost.
Good to see you again, Tennille.
You as well, Pavel. So you have a new friend. And they smile at Latheris.
He looks unsure. He's looking at Flint to see if she's good. Then he's glancing at Pavel and Harlow. Like, are they good? Are they good?
I'll put my sword away and sit back down.
Have you seen elves before?
Elf?
Latheris, have you seen elves before?
Is this DM to Abby or?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
I mean, you know, totally.
Totally professional adventurer guy.
Intimate relationship with elves, yes.
So Tanil steps forward and offers his hand to you. I'm Tanil Leoro. This is Rowan.
Tanil? You said?
Tanil.
Tanil. Alright. Latheris. He shakes his hand. Big old hand.
Minotaur. Seems impressed. Pleased to meet you. You're strong.
I get that a lot, thank you.
Taken up with good people. This is
Yeah,
Rowan.
I like them a lot.
I trust your travels to here have been safe, although, and you know, for even game's sake, Lyala's clearly with the party. You know, he regards her as well. Where is the dwarf?
He didn't make it. We lost him. He's passed on.
And he gets this pained look on his face. And Rowan kind of looks at him. You know, she's meeting you all for the first time. She's quiet, taking this all in, very studious, kind of leans on her staff. You could tell he's got leather armor under his cloak. She does not. You can see more of her physical features because it's cloak over some clothing versus Tenil, which is clearly armored under his cloak. He just kind of sighs, doesn't for a moment, and you see him mouthing something to himself before he looks up. I am terribly sorry to hear this. Was this something in, I presume you found the Cascaton lair?
We did.
And is that where Stoneheart was lost?
Yeah. Yes. We gave him
I'm sorry.
We gave him a fitting burial.
Very well. He was a good dwarf. Very good dwarf. So, perhaps we should not talk any further of this sad news. I presume it is not because of this that you've come to see us?
No. We have we've come for information, hopefully.
Well, whatever we can help you with, of course. It is good to see you all again and see you safe. We would probably do best to discuss things back at the outpost at camp rather than here, so perhaps we might enjoy your fire for the evening. And then at dawn's first light, we'll be on our way.
That makes sense.
We'll be there well before midday.
Agreed.
Are any of you in need any healing
No.
or anything needs? And he kind of glances over for Rowan.
No, we've had very little action since leaving Cascaton.
You must have stayed more in the forest then. The hills have been busy.
Orcs, we've heard.
Orcs, goblinoids. Yes, indeed. So we'll rest this evening, and then first light we'll make for the camp and discuss things when we get there.
Sounds good.
Again, sorry for your loss. Please rest easy tonight, knowing that we'll be able to watch over things while you sleep. And we'll speak with you in the morning. And they both kind of walk off in opposite directions as if they're maybe going to take watch on either side of your area. And they blend in, vanish into the darkness.
I put Sonia up on a branch, and when we start to bed down, I'm probably gonna go over by Flint and just kind of sit down because I've always just assumed I sleep near Flint and Lethyrus. Words. So I'm just gonna lean over and say, I'm sorry for giving you a hard time. I don't think I'm a very good friend, or I'm not good at it, so I'm sorry.
I'm not upset because of you teasing me. I appreciate your friendship. It's just, we don't know if we can trust Thanon. She works for Thanon. How much can I trust her?
I never thought of that. I'm sorry, but probably not at all. If she's an agent of Thanon, then if we find out horrible things about him, she's probably involved.
I've been a fool. Yeah. And I take the poem and I throw it into the fire.
If I can grab it before she starts to throw it, I will grab it.
Roll a dex save.
Dex versus deck?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh no.
Like a reaction, right?
15.
I rolled an 11.
All right, so as Flint, you're like pissed, like fuck, you go to throw it in the fire, and an amazing display of cat-like reflexes. Harlow reaches forward and kind of taps it down to the ground and snatches it up.
Whatever this is, it took you time. it's important. It doesn't mean you have to destroy it just because it didn't. But it might be okay. It could be okay. We don't know. Don't destroy it yet. I'll unball it and kind of like fold it nice and like kind of smooth out the wrinkles without looking at it. I'll keep it like folded in half and just kind of hand it back. Or do you want me to keep it until a certain amount of time?
I'll keep it, but there doesn't seem much point to it now.
Stuff like this could be important. You never know.
I think I've been lied to.
Everybody lies. It just depends on the kind of lie. She may have been being paid to lie. She may have. It could be real. And has to do what she's told.
Somehow that does not make me feel better.
Yeah, it wouldn't make me feel better either. I meant she genuinely likes you, but she has to do what her boss tell her so. I don't know.
We have more important things to worry about than my heart.
It's a good heart. Someone would be lucky to have it. And if not, then myself, Latheris, and probably Pebble will kick the ever-living shit right out of them.
I'd prefer you didn't.
Fine. I'll go ahead and roll over my own bed then and go sleep. I'm assuming I'm taking second watch, so if we do watches.
Okay. So you split up into your watches per normal,
Mm-hmm.
and Sophia has dark vision, right?
So in
As
you
a raven. So she can easily make out the forms of the two elves. One is on the northern edge of where your little encampment is, and the other one is on the southern edge, closer to the edge of the woods. And they're just standing there, kind of in trance, quietly meditating, keeping watch.
I think during my watch, I'm gonna go to where I thought I saw Tennille go off to.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask him, can you teach me how to do that? To see in the dark.
Flint. It's a natural ability of certain creatures that are able to see heat form at night. It's not so much vision like you have during the day when the sun is out, but you see varying shades of heat. And so it enables me to see living creatures or the heat in the land from the day during the night. It is helpful, but it's not the same as regular vision that you would have during the day. And it's not something one can learn. You either have it or you don't, or you are able to do it through magical means.
Elves have thermal vision confirmed.
Yeah, dark vision. That's how dark vision works, infrared, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I'm going back to when I learned how to play D&D, and that's how I understood it. And D&D Basic was infravision, I think we called it back then. Maybe dark vision is different, but either way, long story short, you can't have it, and I have it, and you can't, and you don't. But no, it is not something you can learn, unfortunately. But perhaps someday, by magical means, you may be able to see in the dark.
I'm going to go off in my own direction in the dark, not too far from camp.
Yeah.
And sit down and pull out a necklace I have that we had found. I think it's made of agate.
Mm-hmm.
Agate, yep.
And I'm just going to rub it like a worry stone and stare off into the dark. And over time, things become clearer. I can see the way Tennille sees because I cast dark vision.
Nice.
I just say to myself, I'm like, fucking knew it.
That's awesome.
He lied to me.
I forget that you know spells.
Fuck it. I got dark vision, y'all. You
It's awesome.
can take your torches and shove it.
Nice. Yeah, see, back in D&D Basic, it was called infravision.
Hmm.
And the premise was that it was like heat signatures, infrared, that sort of thing. And so torches messed with dark vision or infravision. Okay, so the rest of you are sleeping, I presume, going to bed other than your watch.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so between your watches and the elves watching and the quiet of the evening, you pass the evening uneventfully. And for anyone who's sleeping at dawn, you are awoken by Tana and Rowan to come to you to wake you up, to get you ready to head to the outpost.
Cool.
All right. And I go up to Neil and I'm like, on, by the way.
What do you mean?
See, everything.
You kind of
And
cocked
I just dangle the agate and I'm just like, I can see. And I put it in my pocket and I just keep walking.
I see. Dark vision in here is described as various shades of gray.
Mhm.
So it's not like infravision. So learning on the fly. Seems like the DM should know that, but no, he does. All right, so if you are ready, he says, let us make haste and get to camp so that we may talk without being heard.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
And he leads you off quickly through the woods. And, you're up at 5:30, right, a.m., summer, early dawn. And by 9, you're into Arndaland. And so the actual outpost, you can see, it's interesting. You can see where the forest is kind of ending. The flinty hills, the further west you've gone, have been less hilly, less craggy, and it's into sweeping grassland plains, right? And the flinty hills kind of come to an end very close to where the forest, it's very just kind of gently rolling. And just into the forest, maybe a mile, is this outpost, for lack of a better term, encampment, if you will, but it's more permanent than an encampment. And as he leads you into camp, you see a few other elves here and there. There is a longhouse, one of the dwellings. It's probably 30, 35 feet across, and then a good 80 feet, 90 feet long. Okay. There's also a big mound not far from the longhouse that has what looks to be like a wooden door set into the side of it. And then there's a couple of smaller storage buildings, more rectangular and then the forest is around this. So many of the trees have been cleared and there's actually grass between the buildings, but there are also a few mature trees here and there. So it's shady. It's not a full clearing. There is some thin wisps of grass, taller grasses, some weeds, flowers here and there. Very idyllic. It almost reminds you of like if the elves went camping, right? Because you've heard tell, you maybe even have seen illustrations or drawings, art of elven settlements and cities, and of course they're beautiful and fragile and strong all at the same time, and very lots of filigree and fine work, and this is very Spartan for elves, but it's well crafted, it's well maintained without looking manicured. Does that make sense?
So it's like Elvish summer camp.
It's like Elvish summer camp, yeah. Not mode, not symmetrical shrubbery. That's like human summer camp. It's very much Elvish.
What kind of summer camps did you go to?
I've been to a lot of them, man, and I took drugs at some of them, so I got some pretty cool summer camp memories. There's some filigree, but much woodwork. Think oh, what's that? Like arts and crafts style, bungalow style, like craftsman style artwork. Um, and so they lead you into camp. There's a big fire pit area with some logs that have been carved into seating. Welcome to Borderlands. He kind of sweeps his arms around, and Rowan smiles, bows, and takes her leave of you. And he leads you to the longhouse.
Very nice.
Pulls the door open and leads you in. And there are some lovely metal braziers hanging from the ceiling.
He said it right this time.
I did. I nailed it, man. I nailed it. Braziers. My God.
You've said braziers like literally every time so far.
I know. Got this one. It just, yeah. Sometimes on Wednesday nights I'm tired, so just be nice. So he takes you in, and there's a couple of long tables. So you could tell this is like dining, meeting areas. There are no rooms in this. It's one big open long house. Low roof, single story, thatched. There's a big beautiful stone fireplace, hearth at one end. No fire in the fireplace. And there are a couple of elves seated at tables, talking and so forth. You don't see a lot of activity. You didn't see a lot of elves on the outside either. And so he leads you to one of the longer tables and sits down, waits for you to sit down, offers you a seat, and then sits when you sit.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. Would you care for food and drink?
Sure.
We're not certainly what we might be accustomed to at our homes here, but we're well fed. The food is good and of high quality. It's just not fancy.
It's fine.
So he kind of waves, kind of gets the attention of a couple of the fellows at the other end of the long hall, the longhouse, and nods, and they exit another doorway at the other end, presumably to get some food and drink. So I've been thinking all night, wondering what brings you to us. While it is good to see you again, it concerns me. Your demeanor concerns me. Obviously, the loss of Stoneheart is sad. What can we do for you?
We have, I suppose, 3 major questions. The first 2 are concerning the undead in the Blemu Hills. The second is the orc and goblinoid uprising, gathering of sorts. And the third, I'm gonna lean in and get real quiet, is regarding something we found in Cascaton.
His eyes kind of shoot up, eyebrows, when you mention. He kind of looks around. he kind of looks around, like wondering what the hell you're worried about. You know, you're the only people in the longhouse. And as he kind of regards all your questions, just thinks about them, looks at everybody else, and as he's thinking how he wants to talk to you about all of this, a couple of the other elves in chainmail armor, leather pants, they have like chain shirts, bring out a couple of trays, and they come to you and smile. They're not servants. You don't get the sense that there are any major hierarchical differences between any of the elves you've seen so far. Peers, colleagues, you know. And they sit down, there's a couple of clear crystal carafes with some clear liquid. You presume it's water. There are some dried meats, cheeses, breads, all look to be a good quality, some fruit. Please, Tenil says, take your fill. And there's some plates and things, so you dish out your own food and go. The beverage, we do have wine, and he asks them, could you bring us some wine, please? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. And it's not servant master, it's very cordial, very collegial. And they return with a couple of decanters of red wine. The clear liquid is, it kind of looks at the ceiling and thinks, think of it as elvish water. It's It's water, yet it's from our homeland. We have a cistern, and it's better than water. You'll actually, as you drink it, you'll feel strengthened and nourished somehow. If you were sick, it would help you recover. If you were injured, it might help you heal more quickly. If you're of anxious mind, you may find relief.
Oh, it's Xanax.
But it's not an intoxicant.
It's Xanax, I assume.
Yeah, the Valium water, yeah.
Valium.
Flint pours a huge glass of it and just chugs it.
Theirs does also.
It tastes really good for water. It doesn't have a taste other than goodness. Have you ever had like a really great glass of water somewhere?
Yeah.
You're just like, damn, that's good water, right? That's kind of what this is. And you feel refreshed, you feel energy, making its way out to your fingertips, your hair tips. You just feel like, and it's not like caffeine energy or sugary excitement energy. It's like fulfillment. It's aliveness, right? Definitely a kind of a new sensation.
I guess I'll drink some too.
Yeah. So you take a strong draught. So many questions. Yes, and he kind of kicks back and eats as he talks to you. So let's start with the orcs. Now, my group here, we're tasked with observing the activities within a day or so march of this encampment. That gets us nearly to the trade road, the east. That gets us to Crystal Springs to the southeast. That gets us well into the Gamboge and up into northern Nairon. We're not from here. We're paid by the Nairondi's king to serve as observers and, if necessary, defenders of this region of the kingdom. But we know many people, and we have extensive communication, and there are issues. It seems in the Flinty Hills and in the Bone March, which is the region where the Blemu Hills and the Black Mine are, the activity of the goblinoids, the orc factions and tribes, the goblin tribes, the hobgoblins, ogres, there's some chaos has come to that region that we don't know much about, nor do we understand.
Does this symbol mean anything to you? And I'm going to show him that symbol again.
Yeah. He'll take the paper and look at it. Kind of look a lot like he's just thinking, like, where have I seen this? Have I seen this? Takes a glass, drink of his wine. Pavel, I don't recognize this.
Okay.
Anything I've ever seen of this world. I don't believe I've seen this. And then he whistles like a tuneful whistle, not like a kind of whistle, but like a summons, but it's musical. And through the door, about 30 seconds later, comes Rowan. Her hair is now braided, tied back. She's out of her cloak and in leather top and pants, soft leather boots, no staff, dagger on her hip. Walks up and kind of gives a slow nod and a smile. Beautiful almond-shaped eyes. Yes, Lieutenant, what can I help you with? Hello, everyone, and she smiles. Yeah, I show her your rune.
Yes, please go ahead.
He shows it to her. What, have you seen this symbol, this rune before, Rowan? And he looks back to you. Rowan is a practitioner of the arcane arts.
Really?
She's a wizard. And she makes very nice fairy fire. And he kind of chuckles. I thought it was cool. He looks over at Flint. Nothing. Yeah. You notice with all the Stoneheart passed away. Orc issues, undead. If you recall his story with the other two elves, that they don't, they kind of escape that mine with their lives. And yet here this guy sits, more consumed with why the fairy fire didn't have a more significant impression upon Flint than all the troubles of the world. He looks at it, studies it, turns it various ways, upside down, rotates it. No channel. I do not recognize this. I don't know what this is. I know much of runes of Greyhawk, of the Flyness, and I do not recognize this. It is certainly not anything that symbolizes anything relating to magic in the Flyness that I'm aware of. He sets it back down. May I join you? Channel's like, of course, please. And in the door of the longhouse cried two other familiar figures to Harlow, Pavel, and Clint. And you see
Renea and Elian, right?
Renea and Elian come in and smile and sit down hurriedly, flip their hoods back, pour a glass of wine. Oh, it's good to see you. They smile. They just like light up when they see you. Kind of like Tanil did last night before you laid the heavy news on him. How are you? What brings you here? Tanil's kind of like, he kind of waves them down like, you have questions. And sad news about their friend Stoneheart was lost in the Casketon lair. And they kind of, sober up immediately. Their expression, that is. So the orcs we heard from some of the trade caravans that go eastward into the great kingdom of Irdi that there's a large group of orcs who've established a settlement or encampment of some kind on the eastern edge of Edgefield. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. What's strange about that is, and perhaps you can, you came from there, didn't you? Didn't you tell me you were in Edgefield?
Yes.
Yep. That's, I believe, where we started our journey.
Make an insight check.
That's a natural 19 plus 0. So 19.
Okay. So you can tell when you mention and confirm that you came from Edgefield that he regards you a little curiously, right? His demeanor changes slightly. So we've heard, we haven't seen this ourselves, but we've heard that this group of orcs has amassed east of Edgefield, which is odd, to be out in the plains and in such numbers. Orcs don't generally, outside the Bone March, don't generally congregate in such numbers. And yet, we haven't heard anything of any military, any attacks on their part. And Renea, Elian, and Rowan all kind of nod as if kind of to confirm what he's saying. So if that's what you're curious about, that's what we know. We are curious as well. We haven't seen any orcs in any kind of groups on the trade routes. The caravans don't report any encounters with orcs beyond the normal little raiding parties that one might encounter.
Has there ever been a history of anything like this? I know your memories are much longer than ours.
Right. There have been many wars and things over the years, and that's my best guess at this point, Harlow, is that they're amassing for some purpose. And knowing orcs like we do, of course, we know that's not a good purpose, but we can't figure out what or who. Orcs are not good at organizing in large numbers. And they have been outside Edgefield amassing for a few months now. And by now, normally, that begins to erode from within and fall apart due to infighting and backfighting. And the fact that they're staying organized in some way and yet not taking any action is what's got us curious.
Hmm.
If I had to guess, there's someone pulling them together for some purpose yet not yet revealed to us.
Yeah, that definitely seems like that would be the case.
What's happening in Ed? You said you came from there, so perhaps I might ask you, what's happening in Edgefield? What was happening there when you went again?
There was just news of orcish activity. I mean, there was some tell of an orcish group compiling itself.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
Edgefield is a large human settlement. Are they not doing anything with that?
No.
well, that leads us to part of our that
Oh,
leads us to part of our other concern regarding what we found in Cascaton.
Oh,
Because we were hired by a person named Lord Thanon, who is from Edgefield or resides near Edgefield or something like that. And initially, I didn't think much of it, but like thinking back on our interactions with him, much of his he seemed to actively avoid speaking of the orcs, as if it was something he didn't want to, like a subject he didn't want broached and discussed,
like he didn't think it was important.
or something he didn't want to potentially give anything away about.
as you start to say this, Rowan and Elian both lean forward a bit, like their curiosity is piqued, and you see Tannel glance over at them, and they kind of lean back again. Tannel remains expressionless, just listening like he has been.
I have some questions about Lord Bannon as well, if you don't mind me breaking in, Pavel.
Yeah, no, please go ahead.
Yes, of course, Harlow.
We were hired by Lord Bannon to go find something in the Cascaton that belonged to his father, who was apparently Zelagar.
The unknown.
See.
But when we were there, this place seemed to be untouched for many, many years. What do you know?
So you did find Cascaton.
We did indeed.
Is it as remarkable as the stories say?
It is a ruin.
Yeah. That's what's worrying us, because if Zelagar is this guy's father, this entire thing smells weird. I'm very suspicious of this man now. And now that we're sitting down and talking about it and discussing everything, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder.
Let's see. And so this Lord Thanon hired you to travel to Cascaton. Why did he not travel there himself?
We asked that as well. He indicated that he is a man of politic and word as opposed to a man of action and sword.
Yeah, he said his sword was for decoration.
Prudent on his part, then. I'm aware of this Lord Thanon, though not acquainted with him, but I've heard of him. His name has come up. I'm curious, and he kind of smiles at what it could be that he would say. And you say his father is the great Zelagar, the wizard, right? Is it? The tales tell of great heroic deeds by Zelagar and Rogan.
Yes, that was what he implied.
So, what were you able to learn in Cascaton? Are the stories of their conquest true? We've heard great tales, of course.
I mean, theoretically, there wasn't exactly a history of the two laying around.
Right. Okay. Well, I never met Zeligar and Rogan. Frankly, when you told me when we met briefly on the road and we shared our news with Clint, I wasn't sure what to make of your story. We as elves, of course, have lived through the time of Rogan and Zeligar, but I never had any dealings with them myself.
How long ago was that?
It was long ago.
1, 2, 3 human generations? What?
3, maybe 4.
Then I believe the matter of Lord Thanon being Zeligar's son is settled. Unless he is an exceptionally long-lived human, Zeligar would not be able to be his father.
One would have to be in excellent health, wouldn't one?
The other matter that concerned me was, and before I say this, I do want to sort of like insight check this guy.
Yeah, please do.
That's gonna be a natural 19.
So you've caught and seen Tannel and Rowan exchanging a couple of knowing glances. You know, Rowan and Elian kind of leaned in a couple times when the talk turned to Edgefield and Lord Thanon and politics, and you caught Tannel kind of shushing them visually with his eyes. So you can tell there's knowledge there that hasn't been shared. You don't feel like he is deceptive. If you had to guess, you would sense that he's probably easily as suspicious of you and your story as you might find yourself of him.
The thing he asked us to find was an object he called Zeligar's Bane, or the Star of something or other. I don't remember.
The Star of Ages. He finishes your sentence for you.
Yes.
The Star of Ages.
He didn't really explain what that was, and at the time it didn't seem necessary to know, but the more we've adventured, the more that information seems prudent to have.
Rowan's eyes light up when Tannen finishes. When you say the Star of, and Tannel's like, the Star of Ages, and Rowan's eyes light up. And Tannel looks at her and sort of smiles. So Thanon seeks the Star of Ages.
Yes. What is it?
It is a gem.
Okay.
It is a big gem. It is a big, beautiful blue gem.
But
and if you look into it, it is blue, wasn't it? Yeah. If you look into it, it will lead you to feel consumed by its beauty and depth.
And is that all? Is it just an exceptionally beautiful gem? It seemed to me that this was some object of power.
So you found it?
Yes. And I am no wizard like your friend here, and I sort of nod at Rowan.
She smiles.
But I do know magic, and I know this thing is magic.
She kind of clears her throat and looks over at Tannel, and he smiles. It is an item of some power. I do not know entirely what it does, but it is an item of power.
Rowan,
As I understand it, it can be useful in... Oh, how do I want to explain this? It can be useful for travel or movement.
Rowan?
Yes.
You're a spellcaster.
I am.
Do you know the spell Identify?
I do. Yes.
And I'm gonna look around. Is
She's
it just
like excited as shit right now.
yeah? Is it literally just this table of people?
There's been a couple of elves in and out. You know, they brought the wine, but they went back to their business of talking, and then they exited the longhouse. So it's literally you all sitting at the
Yeah.
fireplace end of the longhouse
Okay, I'm gonna
around
take
the table.
from my from our possessions the stone wrapped in fabric and the tube. And the scroll tube, and I'm gonna lay them down, and I'm gonna open up the fabric. If I could
And
make a
yeah.
request, could you use your magic on these two items?
And as you reveal the stone, Tannel smiles and gazes at it in wonder, just like, wow. Like, holy shit, they weren't kidding type look, right? Like, wow, that is amazing. And her face lights up, and she also gazes upon it in wonder. I believe the Star of Ages, and she speaks calmly and looks at you, regards you very matter-of-factly, is a traveling stone. A stone you can use if you know how, if you can control its magic, its conjuration. You can use it to teleport. I don't know fully. I would need some time with it to fully identify it, and I would be happy to do so. In fact, I would be so happy to do so, I would almost beg of you to allow me to do it.
One second. I'm gonna like scooch my friends over.
Yeah.
If at least one of us stays with her while she's doing it, I don't see that's a problem.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Weirdly covetous.
I don't know about Tennille, but I know the look of a wizard who is excited about learning something new. I don't think Rowan, at the very least, is intent on taking this item.
I'll let her open up the scroll too.
You must keep the
I'll
roll
trust
sealed.
your command.
And as long as one of us remains with you while you identify it, I don't think that should be a problem. Obviously, with an item that we're not 100% sure. Oh, I hope you understand that it's not.
She holds up your. Go ahead.
It's not that we don't trust you. It's just it's better to err on the side of caution.
She takes a long moment to close her eyes and nod slowly and kind of holds her hand up to kind of stop you. Friends, you are holding an item of wondrous power, of great power. I do not. She chuckles, and you can tell she's like just trying to keep her composure. She's so excited. I do not begrudge you your suspicions nor your fears. I am honored and I feel privileged to be able to investigate this item. You may all stay here. We can do it right here. And with that, the other elf, Alien, that's there. She was with you in the hills when you met. She goes up, stands up, walks all the way across the long hall, and bars the far door. He begins drawing shades along all the windows, closing windows, and then comes over and bars the other door. And Tennille nods. I would be happy to do it here and now. It won't take me long.
Yes.
I should tell you the complete nature of this item.
That would be very amenable. And while you're at it, the other object we were tasked to retrieve was this scroll tube. We were instructed to not open it. And, well, frankly, we want to know what it is. It could be information regarding the stone. It could be information regarding Zeligar. It could be information of potentially any sort. It could be a spell scroll, but we want to know what it is before we, or if there's any indication of what it is before we open it, and especially
Panel
before we decide to
leans
trust.
forward, picks it up without asking, looks at it. Notice, he sees the wax seal, kind of shows it's a Rowan. He smiles. Human nature, so curious. I would think that half of the reason you wish to know what's in this is because you were told not to look inside.
It was more the distrust of Lord Thanon that preceded the interest in what was inside.
Fair enough. He smiles and sets the two down. Rowan, if you would please. She's like, yay, finally. It's like the releasing of the children on Christmas morning enthusiasm. And so she digs in her cloak and pulls out a long, white, gray streaked, wide feather in a little pouch. And she pulls out a beautiful pearl. And she sets the feather and the pearl on the table right beside the stone. And she closes her eyes. And in Elvish, but it's words and things like, those of you who speak Elvish recognize that she's speaking Elvish,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not words that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she gestures, and then she picks up the pearl and holds it, and closes her eyes, and turns her face toward, kind of leans over the stone. And she sits expressionless for 10, 15 seconds. And Al takes a sip of his wine. And then she comes back to you, puts the pearl in her pouch, puts the owl feather away very deliberately. It's killing you, right? How deliberate and intentional she's being, and the little steps she's taking. That it's almost as if she's coming out of some kind of I don't want to say trance, but you could tell mentally her energy has been somewhere. She clears her throat. Well, yes, I was right. It is what we might call a traveler stone. Star of Ages. If it were just this beautifully cut, polished sapphire, you might fetch more than 10,000 dragons from the right buyer. This stone radiates transmutation, divination, evocation, and conjuration. You can teleport. It's also, not only is it a teleportation stone, it's a seeing stone. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the term scrying, but it's much like the wizard incantation scry. You can see great distances in an instant. You can telekinesis with this stone. The user would have to become attuned to this stone, and it wouldn't be usable by just anyone. And it would take much time to develop the subtleties to use this stone to its full effect. The user can also create what's called a teleportation circle. They can also use the spell to communicate mentally with others. And then finally, this stone will also enable the user, once attuned and once skilled and comfortable, to to travel into the ethereal plane. On the edges of it, there are parts of the ethereal plane overlap parts of our plane, and this enables you to go to that border ethereal. So, a powerful item indeed. I don't know that any one of us here, save myself, could make instant use of this item. But I think anyone with sufficient arcane training and understanding and aptitude could certainly over time learn to use this item.
And the
And it
scroll.
would take me some time to become proficient with its use.
And the scroll?
I did not get anything from the scroll. It is a non-magical tube sealed with wax. If there's anything magical in the scroll tube, it is either being shielded by the tube or there's nothing magical in the tube. So you have a scroll tube that is either empty or non-magical. And you have this incredible item. I cannot press upon you the importance that this item remain hidden and secret.
No, this will not go into the hands of any lord or faction, that's for sure.
And I assure you, she looks over at Tannel and he nods, that no one will know of its existence from us.
I'm gonna take out my, like, one of my knives, and I'm gonna hold the tube, and I'm gonna look at everyone, like, should I?
We're never going to go back to Edgefield, are we?
That,
I don't know.
we can go back to Edgefield, that's not... Lord Thanon didn't reside there, specifically.
It's his lands, his domain, though.
Tannel's eyebrows raise. Perhaps before you do anything further, the king in Nyrond, King Linward, has made us aware that there are powers consolidating in the great northern kingdom of Erde. There are politics at work, there are struggles, and so part of what he is doing, he has recently informed us that he is amassing a small military detachment, and he's going to be sending them to the northeast area of Nyrond, where the Flinty Hills and the Adri Forest meet the Inspa River, just to put people there. But the king has concerns about what may or may not be happening in the Great Northern Kingdom. And you recall from your information that Edgefield is in the Great Northern Kingdom of Erde.
Yep.
I have a selfish question.
Please.
Have you ever heard the name Kaylin Delissa before?
A bard. One of Thanon's. He nods. Yes. I've met her on the road a few times. Very pleasant. Red hair. Yes. Whatever.
Can she be trusted?
Well, I don't know her that well, but I certainly got the impression that she was kind-hearted and certainly truthful with me. But She is in Lord Thanon's household. Now let me ask you. You said that Lord Thanon sent you to retrieve the Star of Ages,
Yes.
and he called it by its name, the Star of Ages.
No, he called it Zeligar's Bane.
Zeligar's Bane. Well, the story goes that Zeligar disappeared. And so perhaps the assumption, because there has been rumors or stories of Zeligar's Bane, but nobody really knew what that was. And so I find it interesting that this Lord Thanon fellow knows so much about the history of Zeligar, claims to be his son, knows of Zeligar's Bane.
I think he is Zeligar.
Oh, my. That would be something.
I sensed he seemed to not really be able to do any magic. It wouldn't seem right if he were Zeligar.
If he were Zeligar, couldn't he go get his stupid gem by himself?
With how powerful he was supposed to be? Yes, it would be almost nonsense if he couldn't. No, I don't think he's Zeligar. I think he's a liar.
And Tannel just is content to let you guys kind of jam, talk amongst yourselves. You find him to be very attentive, observant, curious. If you were to continue to observe him closely, like I'm assuming you're doing, Pavel in particular, you see his demeanor changing to be much less suspicious of you.
Wiley, I'm sorry. It's after midnight my time. Can we pick this up next week?
Yeah. You guys dying?
I've been dying for over half an hour.
Great. So, with this, you've had this discussion. You are in the longhouse. We'll call time right there. Is everybody ready to go night-night?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm dying, so I would.
Yeah, no, it's good.
That's
Should-
The 8 o'clock start is tough.
Should we raid someone?
Sure.
Who should we raid?
And we'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm not sure who all is on. Let's see. I got my radar real quick here.
Scrat's on.
Scrat's always a winning.
There's...
Bad Hubs. Evantris is on.
Yeah, I just saw Legends of Evantris.
That's a good one.
Yeah, let's do Legends. I haven't...
Let's do Legends. They're super cool. Well, thank you all for a good game. Try to get some answers or something.
Maybe.
And
Alright.
will he cut the seal on the scroll tube?
Alright. Bye, everybody.
See ya. I'm waving, but I'm